QPR. It was a great club to play at. I think my 2 years at Brentford has been the highlight of my managerial career.
20 years at QPR, 2 as a player, 2 as a manager. QPR's been my life. My father used to play for Brentford back in the 50s, so obviously I grew up a Brentford supporter, but what you used to do, as you did in those days, you used to go to Brentford one week and QPR the next. I actually wrote for a trial at Brentford first, and I never got a reply, and then wrote at QPR and got into QPR. And I felt really down I didn't get a reply for the team I'd supported, whereas I did for QPR. And I always remembered as a manager, the one thing I would do, every letter I got, we always replied to. Because I think I remembered how bad I felt at the time, not getting a reply. And obviously, a few years later, that same person became captain of England. So I could have been captain of England at Brentford, but that's how things work out sometimes.
QPR was a much bigger club at the time than Brentford. Jim Gerry transformed that club. Put in, if you remember, the OmniTurf, the first club to do so all those years ago. Built 4 stands. He was ahead of the game. And being close to the West End of London, it was a glamour club. It was a great club to play at. But to see Brentford now challenging them and really pushing them with their new owner, Mr. Benham, it really is exciting times for Brentford.
Did the first bit of needle come when QPR actually tried to take Brentford over? That was extraordinary.
Yeah,
story,
a little
wasn't
bit.
it?
Yeah, that was probably around about 67. I remember going and buying your shares, because it's amazing. Like, Brentford had certain crowds, and all of a sudden there was going to be a merger and maybe a takeover. I don't know what they're going to QPR Bees or Brentford Rangers or whatever it was they were talking about. And people just come from everywhere, from both sets of supporters on both clubs to make sure that never happened. So I think that was the initial little bit of ignition in terms of maybe dislike, rivalry, whatever you want to call it. But and then unfortunately for Brentford, like QPR went on and I was there, and our rivalry really from my time, and it was Chelsea mainly. But Brentford obviously over the years now have obviously risen, and QPR unfortunately have gone the other way a little bit. So they're real rivals now.
Do you feel that nowadays the Brentford fans feel it more, they can sort of puff their chests out a bit more?
Oh yeah, and I think they're thriving on it. They're thriving on it. They're now getting in good young players from the lower levels, developing them, bringing them up, and I think they've got a very good work base there for the future. The new stadium's set for, when's that, Gerry?
Not long, is it?
Can't be far away now. So it's all in place for Brentford really to come back and challenge. I think they're actually thriving on that feeling of beating Fulham, beating QPR. I think they're starting to relish it.
Queen's Park Rangers versus Brentford brings back really good memories.
Well, yeah, 20 years at QPR. I mean, some memories, 2 as a manager, 2 as a player. So obviously that's been my team really, I suppose. Early age, obviously as a kid, Brentford, but obviously QPR took over. My 2 children went and played for QPR. Adam was a pro there. So QPR's obviously been my life, and obviously I've always had that little special feeling for Brentford as well.
I think my 2 years at Brentford has been the highlight of my managerial career. I think I've had about 20 years now, in and out of jobs all over the country. But the 2 years I had at Brentford, and when I go back now, it's still very, very special. Very special. And I hope Brentford win.
Needn't ask you that question.
No.
What a big mistake that was, not answering that letter from Brentford for a very young Gerry.